those of you who are used to tuning into our Shapes XR webinars, you're probably used to seeing a different face here. So Gabriele is not with us this month, but he will be back. So he's just out of town on some family matters, but he'll be back next month as we continue our webinar series. But today, I'm really excited to be with you all and to share with you some of the things that we've got going on at Shapes XR, but most importantly, how other people are using Shapes XR. So today, we're going to be talking about something really specific. We're going to be talking about the educational side of XR and XR design. So the title of today's session is Learning How to Teach XR to Students and also how to upskill professionals. So for those of us who are working in XR spaces, it's not just about training new people, but with technology constantly changing, it's always important that professionals are checking in to make sure that their skills are up to par with what's happening in the industry. And today we've got some really great guests with us today, so I'm super excited to introduce our panel with you today. We have Dinesh Punni, and Dinesh is from Immersive Insiders. And I'll let Dinesh introduce himself here in a little bit, but he's got some great things to share with us today. We also have Jesper Wallerborg, and he's from Futuregames. He's going to be talking to about the partnership that Futuregames and Immersive Insiders share with one another. And then we've got a really special guest today. We've got Emily Sabel, and she is one of the students who's recently gone through some XR training. She's got some cool things that she's going to share with us today. So we're going to get some feedback from lots of different viewpoints. We're going to get it from the educational side, the XR design side, but also from the student side and what that experience is like as well. So just a little bit about me. My name is Jeremy. I've been with Shapes XR since November. My background's actually in traditional filmmaking. So I'm a writer, a director, and a cinematographer, but I have a very steeped background in education. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm very excited about what we're doing here today. Training technology and training up-and-coming designers and artists has been a big part of my life. And I'm really excited, too, to hear about what Dinesh and Jesper have to say about their experiences. So Dinesh, Jesper, Emily, welcome. Thank you all so much for coming. So before we dive into our questions, I'm going to turn it over to you, Dinesh, let you introduce yourself, and then Jesper will hear from you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dinesh.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks for having us. My name is Dinesh, as you just said already, and I've been in the XR field since 2016 now. Yeah, I think 2015 I tried out the Oculus DK2 back then for the very first time, and that was really my sparking moment where I was, okay, I'm really going to go into VR and AR. And ever since, I've been working in many different industries, and automotive and education, of course, but also healthcare, industrial, interior design, like many different fields. And a couple of years ago, I started my own company, Immersive Insiders. See here a little bit of it. And we teach students and educational sectors, so also on universities and schools, how they can get into the XR field. Because the problem is that there is not so much educational information out there right now, because it's such a new field. The devices are changing like every couple of weeks, it feels like, and there are new tools all the time, new versions, and it's kind of like overwhelming and frustrating. And on the educational side, you have to update your courses all the time. It's not so easy for anyone get into this field, which is like I see a lot of nods already. And this is something where I saw an opportunity to teach these fields. So we are focused on development, but now more and more people are asking us about, hey, I really want to learn XR design. How can I become an XR designer? And I mean, the obvious choice here is, of course, Shapes XR. I really like using it. And we will get more into it, why we love it, using it, and how we use it. And I'm super excited for this. And yeah, that's it from my side.
Great. Thanks so much, Dinesh. Jesper, tell us a little bit about yourself and Futuregames.
Okay, yes. Jesper is my name. I am head of education for the Immersive Experience Creator Program at Futuregames in Stockholm, Sweden. We started this program back in 2020. But I started working with XR in 2016 as well. But my background is in advertising. I've been working with advertising since 1999, and mostly with different kind of web-based design and communication. And my way into this was 360 stream, actually, a 360 video. Yeah, it is such a joy to work within this field where there are so few rules. I really like it, but it's really challenging as well to communicate a calm and safety and a belief in your solutions when there are no answers, if you are doing it right or wrong. Yeah, Emily is one of our students this year, and she can surely tell that it has been a journey we've done, and we do every year. Everything changes almost all the time. Yeah, what was the question?
That's good. We just want to know a little bit about you and sort of your background.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we're just like Jesper, or Jesper mentioned, we've got lots of challenges in the educational space we're going to talk about today and what that looks like when you're putting together programs for XR. But I don't want to forget our special guest. We've got Emily with us today. So Emily, if you don't mind unmuting yourself, maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Hi. Yeah, I started this education very curious about it. I come from front-end development, and I felt it was very flat. I always was intrigued by the immersive websites that I could make. So this education is super interesting, I think. It's very experimental, which I love. I love that the community is very small right now, but like you said, Jesper, it also comes with a lot of question marks. And I think the big difference from learning front-end development, for example, or UX design for the web, and XR, it's hugely different because there's so many resources. The people who built the internet are your teachers when it comes to front-end, but we don't have really that kind of community platform yet for XR. So yeah, but I'm just excited to be along for the ride. It's a very cool time to jump into this line of work, I guess.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I keep saying that the world of XR is kind of like the Wild West right now. It's just everything's kind of up in the air. We're all figuring it out as we go along. But I think that's how you do it. You know, it takes experimentation. It takes trying new things, and it's a really exciting time to be a part of the XR world. So Dinesh and Jesper, I just want to ask a little bit too about, we've got Immersive Insiders and Futuregames coming together in a partnership to create some of these educational spaces. Can you talk a little bit about how that came about and sort of what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go or should I, Jesper?
Well, I'll start with the first, how actually, because I think it was me texting you. I think it's kind of the start of a love story. but I think one of the students in the first class, Intisal, followed Dinesh on LinkedIn, and I was on the hunt for someone able to teach, because Futuregames is a really a strong game education in Sweden, and something like, yeah, there's a really a lot of knowledge around game engines, but it's that the game industry is really specific. It's mature and specific. So this kind of XR questions and problem solving that you need experience in to teach how to use Unity, for example, in XR, was harder to find. And I was on the hunt for that, and Intisal recommended Dinesh, and we started out with a summer, I think it was a summer membership in Immersive Insiders for all the students to try it out. We got the feedback from the industry here in Sweden that a lot of startups used Unity. We were focusing a lot on Unreal first year. And we got that feedback and pivoted and tried to adapt to that with the help from Dinesh. And it turned out really well. So we deepened and continued the partnership for this semester, this class. Now you can continue, Dinesh, and tell us about your courses.
Continue.
Not sure if there's so much left, but yeah, just like you said already, really cool. I just got recommended by Intisal, who actually, by the way, I think she was first or second place in your first competition that you had.
She was second place, and I absolutely love Imtisal. I love her design. She's wonderful.
It's so cool how small the world is actually.
It's
amazing. Yeah. No, I think that was like a really amazing collaboration, and we tried to just put everything into there. And this year we also started with XR design. Like the general philosophy was first to kind of like find a way on using user experience, UI, UX for XR. And then I think, Jesper, you already knew about Shapes XR, but then I was like, okay, we definitely should go with this tool because I've been using Shapes XR when before there was Shapes, like 2 or 3 times. I also use it a lot. I really liked it. But now it's like super amazing, handy tool for these kind of things.
That's awesome. Yeah. So just out of curiosity, for a student who comes through the program currently today, what does, just briefly, what does the process look like for them? Are we talking about a few weeks, months, years? What does the experience look like for the student?
When you are applying for the Immersive Experience Creator program, it's a year and a half. The program is it's 3 terms. And one of those are basically internship.
Okay.
And then examination project. 4 weeks of examination project and 16 weeks of internship. So basically, we have 1 year to teach to learn the basics. The immersive map, kind of from to be able to choose the right kind of media for the story you want to tell. It could be like spatial audio or AR or VR or 360 video or interactive, something completely else, or AR filters for that matter. It's really hard to find people able to choose the right one for the right moment.
That makes a lot of sense. I know, coming from the world of filmmaking, when I tried to make the transition into XR, I realized that there were some rules that applied. There were some things I could pull from my experience as a storyteller that I could bring into the experience. But working in an XR, it's a completely different medium, and choosing the right format and how that story unfolds, that's part of the learning process. So I think that's really important. So this program that students go through, is this a physical location they go to, or is it all online? How does that work?
Yes, exactly. It's a physical program, but due to COVID, it has been online for the first 2 years. This autumn, we are starting to be a bit harder about being on site at school. But we are introducing a virtual venue, a virtual classroom as well, for students to be able to meet each other without being at the same place physically. And one of these tools to multi-user VR tools that we are introducing from the first week, basically, for this new class is ShapesXR.
That's fantastic. Great. Well, I can see we've got some people joining us. If for those of you at home who are listening, if you have any questions as we go through the talk, please feel free to put those in the comments, and we'll try to get to some of those as well. Emily, I'm just curious for you. Tell us a little bit about what kind of design experience did you have before you went through this process, and what were some of the challenges that you faced as a student?
Well, I was studying web development, and with that also came UX design and web design. And for me, I think it was actually like easier to learn ShapesXR than it was to learn a program like Figma or any other like two-dimensional design tool. So for me, I think that's something that really is a pro with the XR space, because it is built to be more intuitive. We don't have this filter of like buttons, and it's in our hands. I think the one big thing that you're always faced with when you're starting a design and are new to this design thinking is that you have these tools and you have this space, and then you're like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Like, where do I start? Where do I begin? So like, I think that's something that is very important, is inspiration and seeing people's seeing what other people are doing. And I think you hosting these kind of seminars and like talks, I think is great. And you're really good on LinkedIn to share what other people are doing. And I can't wait for this to grow even more and to see like how what the potential is really. I think that's the biggest challenge, just like daunting with this huge vast space that you can fill with basically anything.
I completely agree, Emily, and you're right. We try to celebrate our users and creators as much as possible. It's not the people, of course, yeah, and it's not those who are just developing the software and all that. It's how it's being used, and it's the creators who are using it that's really important. So Dinesh, I'm curious for you, just from an educational background, putting these programs together, what are some of the challenges that you've run into?
I think if we specifically talk about XR design, some of the really bigger challenges are that prior to ShapesXR, like if you don't have these kind of tools, you would have to combine a lot of different tools. Like maybe you would have to draw it in 3D if you have these skills. I mean, that's great. Or you have to use some sort of like Photoshop or like even Blender maybe, or you use Unity, which is okay. But if you're not so technical, it's really hard to build something in Unity. So there's no really a process or like a tool or anything like this outside of ShapesXR, at least back then when I tried to teach it, that was allowing students to really mock up and build something really fast and really easy. Like the good thing about this tool is that there's not a big learning curve. Like we can do like a 1 week workshop and people can build something immediately. And that is something really, really helpful. So you don't have to learn like 5-6 different tools. And I think this is probably the biggest problem solved.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And for those of you who are joining us who maybe aren't familiar with ShapesXR, ShapesXR is an application that's available on the Quest headset, and it's designed specifically to help XR designers prototype out their XR experiences. So everything from UI designs to world building, you can all do in your headset in 360 immersive space. So like Emily was saying, there's a big difference between design, especially if your finished design is going to be an immersive design. It just makes sense to begin the ideation process in that 360 space. So yeah. So what about, I'm curious, like for me, for example, I'm not a developer, but I'm a creative, I'm a designer. Is there a place for folks like me in the XR space? Is there a place for folks who maybe, for non-developers? Are there spaces in the XR world for them? Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely, I would say like 200%, because like in every company product you have like all the roles, and you have the developers, of course, they're like important, etc. But then you have like all the other people as well who are needed. I mean, it's also like you need some people in marketing because they also need to know how immersive technologies work, for example. And especially now designers, of course, is getting more and more important. And then I think as the field evolves, it similar to 2D, it also branches out between UX designers and UI designers. I mean, like if you go to a mobile app now, you would have like a very different kind of role for UI and UX designers, for example. And I think like, I mean, user testing, all of these things that we already have on websites and mobile phones, they will just come to XR as well. So there are like lots of potential or lots of things that non-developers can do as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Jesper, do you have anything that you'd like to add to that? Any thoughts? Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree that there. Absolutely, I'm fighting for the right to be a generalist in this field. Yes, we don't need. It's too early, in my opinion, and the industry context that I'm talking to, it's a bit too early to get rid of the generalist, or don't they really don't exist in the field right now, because it's so technically driven. A technical development is achieved, and it's like, hey, we can do this now, but why, and what's it for, and what's the story we can tell with it? These questions, they are almost never asked, and we need to be able to grow and to create things that ordinary companies want to use, ordinary people want to go into. We need to start in that end. Yeah, and we have a lot of it's a huge difference between the game industry and the marketing industry, for example, where we in the market industry, we are really used to look at data and now we are used to use like a UX designer. Back in the days when I started, that was called like a web designer or designer, and it's that role in game is more. They have the artists, the producers, and the developers and the art directors, but they do completely different things. In game, UX isn't at all such a big thing, and data is kind of, you really don't want to go into data-driven gaming, right? It's kind of, so it's really differs between what depending on what industry you're interested in. Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I was reading an article the other day. As a filmmaker, I love special effects. And I was reading an article the other day about Industrial Light and Magic, the big special effect house that did all the effects from Star Wars all the way up until recent films. And they were talking about how they're returning kind of to this generalist model, that so much of the work had been so diversified and so spread out that there was a lack of cohesion between a lot of things. Everyone knew how to do one little thing, but there weren't a lot of people who had a general idea of how the whole process worked, and there's really a need for that. And it sounds like that's true also in XR space as well. We still need those people who have a general understanding of it all. Like Emily, you were just talking, or before we came on, you were showing us a little video that we're going to show everyone here in a little bit. And I'm just admiring the design. And at one point you were like, oh yeah, and I wrote the code, for this little part here too. And I think that's fantastic. We need those kinds of people. So
What
Yeah.
from an educational standpoint? Oh, Emily, did you have something you wanted to say? Did I interrupt you?
No, I just wanted to like put something because I see myself as a generalist, and something that I've really found throughout this year has been how important like experience design UX flow is in XR. Again, it's way different from the web. Everyone knows how to use it. Everyone knows the general flow, how things go. But this is such a new space, so we need like people who are good at thinking in these, who ask the right questions to find out how to navigate these new spaces and guide people through them seamlessly. Because if it's not seamless, then you're not immersed anymore. So it's like a higher stake, and it's a new environment, a new media. So
Yeah.
yes,
That's
we need
great.
more than just developers.
That's great. That's wonderful. So there's a question here that leads right into my next point. I'm going to see if I can put it up here on the screen. So this is from Nico. He says, as a future teacher, I have a question. How do you guys teach how to design VR in a class? Does every student have a headset? How do you control the class when you have the headset on and cannot see, et cetera, et cetera?
So that's a very good question.
Yeah, those are just some really general questions that I know when I'm doing training sessions, I run into the same problems. So what are your thoughts on that?
Jesper, you wanna go or should I?
What should I start? Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This is one of our biggest challenges this year, because this class this year, not all students actually had their own headsets. We have a couple of headsets at school, some different types and sorts, and about half of the class has bought their own headsets as well. And that made us concentrate, group do a lot of teamwork, with divide class in smaller groups, and base a lot of the learning in different kind of streams. And that I'd say it kind of works, but it's not the optimal way of doing it. I think it's good to have some kind of start or introduction in a stream or general in a room or something, then jump into smaller groups in headset, I'd say, and learn together with maybe 10 people in a room.
Yeah,
And then
Dinesh. Oh yeah, go ahead, Emily.
There's also been some headsets in school that we can use. So for example, for this project, me and Jessica did this, what we're gonna look at, the first XR sketch in Shapes. And I have a headset, she didn't. We wanted to work in the same space at the same time. And so we just met at school, and like she borrowed a headset there and I used mine, and it worked fine.
That's great. Dinesh, do you have any other thoughts on that question? It's like you said, it is a good question. It's a big problem. You know, how do you address that in the classroom?
Yeah, absolutely. Fortunately, during my career, I've been doing a lot of remote training with the Oculus Quest or HoloLens or any kind of XR device, and I think it's always going to be quite challenging, especially if you have some device like HoloLens. You don't really see what the other person is doing, so there's a lot of intuition and training that comes into it. But to answer like the specific question, how do you control the class when you have the headset on and cannot see? I mean, if it's remote, then we really have to kind of like learn really well how to work with this device. Like when you want to show something, when you want to stream something, how to do the sharings, how to do all of these things. I mean, probably 95% of people who share something in VR, they have some technical hiccups. I mean, it happened all the time. Happened to us as well when we had the classes. Like sometimes, I don't even right now know what exactly was the issue, but I think you guys remember when we had the sound issue that was like a super annoying sound for some reason. Exactly. Like, I mean, these things happen all the time to most companies, I would say. But I think it's really good to kind of get around it. Like, I mean, if that sound is making too much noise, then kind of mute it. So it's really, you should be able to be sort of like mindful on the spot. When something happens, know how to deal with it. Like if the stream doesn't work, have a plan B, have a video, or if this doesn't work, you know how to do this one. But it kind of takes some experience. But I can say from experience that a lot of hiccups happen when I see any kind of presentation. I mean, I went to many conferences and fairs, and every time I checked out a demo, there was like a 50% chance that something didn't work. So it's still a new field, I would say.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I've done so Shapes XR. For those of you who don't know, it's a collaborative process. So we can all be in a space together. So I do trainings in Shapes XR, but I've also trained in the physical classroom as well, VR, and they both have their challenges.
Exactly.
There's no perfect solution. When you're in VR, even with if you've got detailed avatars to look at, you still don't have that feedback loop that you have in a physical classroom. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes as a student comprehending what it is.
And always check back if they're actually listening. Like just put off the headset. It's like, is everything good? Okay.
Exactly. I always tell my students when I put my headset on in class, I'm like, if you want to leave, now's the time to do it because I won't know. So that's fantastic. Well, maybe you all could talk a little bit about how you use Shapes XR in the classroom. How is that? How does that work for you all?
So I think, I can just go on this one. This time, or I think probably also the future, I split it up into 3 parts. Like this is usually how we do the XR trainings. First, we start with like a theoretical, just, hey, what is Shapes? How does it work? Like just basic explanation. And since it's not really hard to use, we have like 2 kind of sessions where we really go into Shapes with the students together, basically. The first time I put on the headset, and there are many cases when not every student has a headset. If every student has a headset, that's kind of like a amazing luxury that you have. Then it's super easy. Like just tell your students follow along, no problem. If not everybody has a headset, it's really important to have a proper stream. So you need to be able to be in VR, but still look at the remote chat. Like if people are having questions, this is something that you don't have with other media. Like maybe you're doing something here and people don't see your screen, or people have a question or something like this. So you have to kind of find a balance between being in VR and outside of VR, just checking in. Just explaining Shapes. Again, if everybody has a headset, then just tell them to follow along. If not everybody has a headset, then I will usually stream my Quest image so people can just follow along. Super simple. And then, we just like give a couple of hours for the students to play around with the basic features. So doing the tutorial, creating a room, building a small menu. This is stuff that I built before live to just show how it works. But again, as probably all of you would agree, you learn best by doing. So then the next class, we teach some of the advanced features, kind of like how to do the, how was it called again, when you jump to the next scene, for example, how to do the frames and stuff like this, how to duplicate object. There are so many amazing features. I really love the magnetic snapping and all of that stuff. So in the second class, I teach these more advanced features, how to import stuff into Unity, how to get your 3D models in, all of that stuff as well. And then we usually give a 1 week time for a project. And this is, I think maybe Emily and Jesper can say something about it, where we give a theme and then we get a lot of amazing results from the students.
Yeah, Jesper, tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, that was just to work with Shapes XR was such a relief that we actually found this tool and were able to use it. There was a couple of students in class that from the beginning didn't really want to go there to they were more like, no, I'm into writing or I'm into other parts of this. I'm not going to be a 3D developer or something like that. It's not for me. But when they had to try Shapes XR, it was like a new world opened up for them, and they started to realize that they had that kind of visual spatial thinking, and ShapesXR was a tool that they could use to show that. And we saw a lot of different the diversity of the ideas from the class, from this jam that we did, was amazing. We have worked with this format, like a short crash course in a subject or an application, and then a jam, or a short period of time where you have a theme where you're prototyping something. And we do this on purpose, not to dive too deep, not to get the feeling that you have to be really good at everything and master the application, and you need to deliver something really polished, because that could take several weeks, and we really miss the point if we start in that end.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the jams, you all had some really great submissions, and one of the projects that I loved was, Emily, your project. And so we're gonna here in just a minute, we're gonna jump into Shapes XR and actually take a look at Emily's. It was Emily, and I think your co-worker was Jessica. Jessica was in it. Yes. So we're gonna take a look at their design in Shapes XR. And then after we take a look at that, we're going to see a little bit of a video of kind of where things are in the process right now, the Unity build and all that. But before we do that, Emily, maybe can you tell us a little bit about your experience of using Shapes XR, and then tell us a little bit about your project.
So I'm a visual learner, and I like things that are hands-on. So for me, it was a relief. And I think also, like, first time that I tried Shapes XR, it wasn't, I just tried things on my Oculus. I didn't really found the right purpose of it. It didn't stick with me. I thought it was a drawing thing, and I don't know. It didn't click with me. But when we had this course and we had this, like, they showed why you used it, like what kind of tool it was, how to use it, and then again this, like, these boundaries, the creative boundaries of, like, you have this time limit, 5 days, and then you have a theme, and then you just start using it, and more just like things start clicking, and then it becomes completely intuitive, which I, as a hands-on visual learner, it's like such a relief. And no shortcuts needed. You just, like, you have everything in your hands, and you just, like, drag and drop everything, and suddenly you have a whole UX flow that you can share on the web, like, with anyone, as well as in the VR world. So, like, that for me was really cool. And what our project, well, I think the idea of it, it's a futuristic immersion. We want to, I think it was brewing for a long while, this kind of idea. Both me and Jessica are very, we have two different opposite aesthetics that are very futuristic, but they're opposites. So hers is like Matrix sci-fi situation, and I'm more like solar punk utopian. And we wanted to make a project together, and what we came up with was kind of this reflective question, but more like visualize. So, like, what do you want for your future? Here are two potentials. Do you want to go into these planets? We like the idea of tiny planets that you could then enter, and then we want to have some reflecting questions. We're gonna this. So yeah, we did the first sketch in Shapes XR. And then we teamed up with a third person, and now we're developing it as a VR experience. And we're gonna have it in Tech Festival, Gather Festival in Stockholm in end of September. So we're in the middle of developing right now. I just asked I did a screen video, and I asked my teammates to do the same, and that's the video I put together for where we are now. So there's basically 3 different worlds. One is the lobby, and then there's 2 different opposite planets you can enter.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't wait to show everybody. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm getting my headset ready. So Dinesh and Jesper, if you wanted to jump in, you can as well. Emily, I think you said you might not be able to jump in, but you'll be able to see the screen.
I'll be here. Yeah, my
Oculus will be able to talk about it. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and try sharing my screen here. And Emily did such a fantastic job. She and Jessica did such a fantastic job with the design. This project, it's a little heavy in terms of the loading side of things. So this will take just a minute to load, but we'll go ahead and see if we can get it going here. So like we said, the VR world is the Wild West right now. So give us a second while we get up and going here.
Yeah, just speaking of, exactly.
So, you are experiencing firsthand the challenges of educating in VR. Let's see. So let's see, Emily, can you see my cast? Is that broadcasting on the screen? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So we will now go to, here we go. And then Jesper and Dinesh, once you're in, just make sure that you mute your microphone or turn your volume down. All right, so we're loading right now. Yeah, I thought this was just such a fun space, Emily. It was just it's very sleek. It's a really great design. And then after seeing a little bit of the video, the final Unity build, I can't wait to see the final product. It looks fantastic. So when are you all supposed to be done? When's your deadline? When is everything due?
21st of September is show day. So we have 4 days that we're going to be displaying this this installation. Yeah, so here, what you see here is the first kind of place where you get to, you're faced with this question, choose your future. And there are 2 buttons you can click. And one is the information about the, yeah, so here we are. So one is the information about the planets. And this, yeah, chickens. It was a bit of a joke. But yeah, and then you could also visit it. So in the slides, we show where you can, how you can interact with these pillars that hold these 2 planets. And if you choose visit, in this sketch, you will just see a bigger version of it. And yeah, in the VR version, you will be inside one of those domes and look out on the world.
One of these domes up here. Got a little feedback, guys. All right. After I told you all to mute your microphone, I realized I didn't mute mine. So that was the guilty part of there. Okay, Emily, go ahead and continue. So yeah, this is the enlarged view of the more utopian world.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And we like to show like the interaction, how you can interact with it by using these hands and showing where you click. Exactly like this. And then you also see the scale when you see the hand and the human also.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then we visit this site and, oops, so we visit this site. And, yeah, there we go. And so now we see the dystopian world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, in the real version, you will be on the planet. We had to kind of hack this. I got really excited about adding plants to my planet. It became very heavy and we couldn't move the object at all because it was just too heavy. And so we just scaled down the scene and kind of worked around that. So yeah, don't overdo it with the details on your sketches, guys.
You know, one feature that we've added, Emily, since your design is we actually added with your stage as a background layer. So what I did for the
nice.
optimization is I deleted all these duplicates of this planet and just moved one to the background layer. So this object is now only in your
Oh,
project
nice.
as opposed to 8
One
times.
time. Oh, wow. That's way
Yeah, so
better. That's way less trees.
yeah. But I
And
definitely love
yeah,
all the, it's great.
yeah, we had a lot of fun. And also something that I we really appreciated about this was that we could make things in Blender and then just put it into the sketch. So the domes you see, and also the kind of, yeah, those we made in Blender, and just put in here. And then also on the other planet, that just, oh yeah, I made those water things also. The water collectors, rainwater collectors. I made those in Blender. Or no, actually on my iPad, Nomad Sculpt, and then
Yeah, you
put them in here.
you use
Um, and yeah, a lot on her planet is also made in Blender, and then just yeah, those structures that kind of circles the planet.
The Dyson spheres.
Yeah, the Dyson spheres she made in Blender really quickly, and then just put it in, and it was super smooth, and we were super excited about it. We could
Yeah.
make it look how we wanted it to.
I have to say that for the jam, for this, for the Shape 6R jam that we had, the theme was, I think it was Choose It was the main
Yeah.
theme. You were to design some kind of
Choice.
exactly how to choose in XR, some kind of user interface, and you really show how, because you had this idea on what you wanted to do for your graduation examination project, and you had this goal with a tech festival as well, and tweaked the courses to fit your projects for several months, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. I'm really happy that you did it that way.
We are too, because it takes so many rounds of thinking. Like at this stage, like that, like I said before, about how do you work with UX? How do you guide a person through an interactive XR space, as opposed to a web space?
Right.
Then like the first thing you think about is like, of course you navigate with buttons, but then it's like, no, like you don't have to. It can be, you choose by like, there's so many other ways that you can choose. So in this first sketch we used buttons, and when we actually got to the building, we just started asking us like, how do we make a choice, like and we're still kind of on that question. How do we make them choose? What determines the choice? And now we're kind of experimenting with, like, you can pick up the planets and hold them in your hand in the VR, and I think we're gonna have like a place that you can put them, and then that will transform you, transfer you into the planet, as opposed to just pressing a visit button.
That's
so
fantastic.
We want to experiment, like getting away from the 2D as much as possible and make it as intuitive as possible.
Right, and some of that stuff you don't discover unless you're actually in a 360 immersive space, playing around and experimenting. Yeah, when you're designing on a 2D screen, you might not catch some of that. So yeah, I think this is another reason why it's just starting from the very beginning, in a 6-DOF experience, I think is really, really powerful. Well, this is great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take my headset off, and and we'll go ahead and finish the conversation. Yeah, Jesper,
we have people in the chat asking if they can join.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know what to answer.
Yeah, so we probably won't join now, otherwise we might get a little overloaded. But I'll talk with Dinesh and Jesper and Emily, and maybe we can create a duplicate space that possibly people can go and visit. So we'll talk about that, and if we can, we'll let people know. So
that's good.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and take off my headset here. And now you'll all have to just endure my my VR hair.
Your new look, exactly.
Just goes with the territory. And wearing glasses and VR is no fun either.
The struggle.
Exactly. Well, Emily, just first of all, beautiful design. You and Jessica did such a fantastic job. So intuitive and so interactive. And so you started this process in Shapes-XR, prototyping it out there, and then now it's moved on to building it out in Unity. You've got your deadline coming up, and I think we actually have a little bit of a video to show you all as to where the project is right now. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the screen. And Jesper, I might need you to hit the play button. We'll see how this works here. So I'll go ahead and add it to the stream. Oh, there we go. All right.
So here, the whole experience is like when you walk in, this is going to be at a festival. So we're going to actually have a dome that you walk into. So this is the first layer that you kind of see. You're restricted to the dome. And in this dome, you will travel to different worlds. This is the first planet. We haven't, I'm still working on the other planet. So that's why it's not here in this demo right now. But that's the dystopian tiny planet. And he can pick it up and then you will transport into the world. And this is where we are at now, or where Jessica is now with her dystopian futuristic matrix set planet.
This really looks like Matrix.
Yeah, there's some human batteries, we have some drones checking if there's signs of life, and yeah.
Oh, it's so cinematic and so immersive. It's really incredible. Yeah, those human batteries, those are just terrifying.
Absolutely.
Like I said, she wants to add a robot coming in front, like
nice.
in front of the screen. Really scary, I think. But yeah, maybe we'll see. Maybe we should warn our users.
Does she want to make some kind of jump scare thing?
Not jump scare, just a slow creep coming closer and closer.
Yeah.
And then I also put in the utopian world. This is it. And yeah, still work in progress, but this is where we're at now. A lot more green. This is my utopian version of the future I want to see. Is the video lagging a bit?
Emily, you're getting a lot of praise in the comment section. So commenting on how beautiful your project is, how creative it is. So you've got fans.
Yay, thank you guys.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I've just been looking at the prototype for forever. So to finally see, and I was impressed with just the prototype, just what you had in Shapes-XR. And so to finally, get to see something actually fleshed out. Not only, Emily, is it an incredible testament to your talent and ability, but I think it's also says so much about the education that you got from this fantastic program. Dinesh and Jesper, I kind of want to sign up and come to your school now. So
yes, let's go.
You're welcome.
I had a question here.
Yeah.
Is it all done in Unity? Yes, it's all done in Unity. The assets we've done both I did in Nomad Sculpt on my iPad and also in Blender. And yeah, again, big thanks to Dinesh. Like, we had a very, very good teacher when it came to this. And yeah, I don't know how we would have done it without you, honestly. Yeah, we're still finding good sources online, but just like having that fundamental base of it, and also we've been doing a couple of VR projects throughout this year, and it's thanks to you, because so that's really, thank you for that. Thank you for creating Immersive Insight.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
So I guess on that note, we've just got a few minutes here. Maybe Dinesh and Jesper, maybe tell us a little bit just about the future, like what's coming up. Any thoughts on that? Dinesh, I'll let you start.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for the future. Let's really see how it goes. I think it's really amazing to hear what Emily just said, and also like all the other students. I think we had like in total like 5 gems or so. Like, we had a lot of projects, which is really cool. I mean, we learned like VR development, we learned AR development, hand tracking, pass-through, UI, UX, I mean, Shapes XR, of course. So that was like a really full curriculum of educating and teaching XR, basically. And yeah, I think in future we will focus a lot more also on really like creating amazing final pieces, just like you did, Emily, which is amazing. Like that's kind of like the perfect vision that I wish to have. That this is something that we will have over and over again. Like people starting with a prototype, then keep working on it, and then this is something that we can just see and feel what has been built by the ground foundation that we have built for you. It's really, really cool to see.
That's awesome. Jesper, how about you? What about the future? How are you feeling about things?
I'm looking forward to it. It's give me so much energy to see all these ideas and to see them develop. And I really like that constant tweaking we need to do within the education. Like, for example, now we know that Shapes.XR is a good tool to use. We decided to implement it as a base tool for all the education, not just for the course and onward, but from the very first week of the education. We want Shapes.XR to be like the go-to mock-up tool for anything you'd like to do with your team or your classmates, and see how that develops and changes the way other projects are made. And
can you guys see my screen?
Oh, let's see. What did you share, Dinesh? I can put something up here.
Because just what Jesper talked about all the other projects that the students have been building, which is really amazing to just see. Like here we had our jam, basically the jam page, and we had the immersive UI. By the way, Jesper, amazing graphics. I love your graphics. He's done all the graphics for these.
You need good graphics.
Super, super nice. And yeah, really like, it's crazy to see like how much amazing projects we got out of this. And I think this is something that we are really looking forward to.
Yeah.
Someone's asking, how do you evaluate student projects? What aspects do you look at? What to take into account what they use, that they use Shapes.XR functionalities well, or is it secondary? I thought that was a good question.
Mm-hmm. It is. And for us as a school and at Futuregames, the grading is really, we don't really like grades. We like our students to get work. So we are pushing a lot more on portfolio pieces and hands-on craftsmanship or skills, not that much into if they can apply to the rules that we set. Of course, if there is a deadline or if there's a brief and you completely, if you don't show up or if then of course it will be hard. But if you do something completely else, but can motivate why, and it's still in the field of the jam, for example, choose to if you do that in some other way than we first thought of, then it could be okay, because you still develop and learn and develop skills that you will that will be useful. So it's really a hands-on from case to case, the evaluation of the student projects. But the most important thing is to do something and show it to others. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the baseline, I'd say. To get the feedback to adapt and adjust to feedback.
Absolutely. That's definitely a valuable skill that you've got to acquire if you're going to work professionally in this business. Well, we are coming up on the hour, so we're going to have to wrap things up here pretty soon. I'm just kind of looking through the chat. There were so many good questions that we didn't get to. I've got people who want to reach out. They want to get information. So Dinesh, let me just ask you this. If someone is interested in going through the program, where do they go? How do they get information? How do they sign up?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 ways. Easiest way to contact me, first via just add me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Dinesh Punni, or you can just Google my name. You find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Discord, any cool platform really. And otherwise, if you want to really learn more about it, check out my website, Immersive Insiders. That should be really like the go-to place for learning AR and VR development, but we are also now more and more focusing on design. So there's quite a bit of content planned for design in the near future, because it's really cool how many people have asked me to teach more and more XR design. So that is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, the easiest way is just LinkedIn or YouTube, whatever you prefer. And then if you're ready to check out some of the courses, Immersive Insiders would be the go-to place.
Perfect. Wonderful. And Jesper and Emily and Dinesh, you can chime in too. There's some people who had specific questions for you. Are there ways that people can contact you that you prefer? Any social media outlets or anything like that?
I can be found on LinkedIn. If you want a quick answer, then my name is It's, and then Emily Sabel on Instagram. And I'm more on Instagram than I am on LinkedIn. And yeah, reach out there. I'd love to talk to more. Please come with questions and thoughts and whatever. I love talking about this.
Awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same here. And Jesper, what about you? How can people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. You could, let's see here. My handle on all the internet is ntapir. ENTAPIR, and you'll find me. But for the education, the Futuregames Immersive Experience Creator program, to know more about that, we actually it's open for global participants or students. You could Google Futuregames or futuregames.com and find it there.
Perfect. And I'll go back and edit the video on the YouTube stream and make sure we've got contact.
Yeah, wonderful.
Probably the easiest way to do it. Well, Jesper, Dinesh, Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. This was so informative. I learned a lot. I hope that the people out there listening learned a lot. Again, all of you are getting a lot of praise in the comments. So really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. Thank you, everyone who tuned in today. This will be up on YouTube, so feel free to share it with people. Go back and rewatch. We're so thankful that you all made it here. And be sure to check out Shapes XR. It's free to download off of the Quest store. So you can jump in today and start playing around if you want to. And check out Immersive Insiders, check out Futuregames, check out what Emily's doing. Lots of exciting things happening in the XR world today. So thanks, everyone. We're going to go ahead and sign off. So we're all saying goodbye. And
wonderful.
Bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye.